Hello, Craig.
It's all on you, it's all on me. Can't you see? It's all on you, it's all on me. You and me, can't you? It's all on you, it's all on me.
Hey, Craig. Right or wrong, we don't care. Win or lose, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
Hey Jeff,
What's up, buddy?
we are in the middle of football season now. We have seen a game. We know
Yeah, we've
What?
seen one.
players are playing, and it's it's we have actual things to talk about, and that's great.
Yeah, we are now experts because we have seen this team play one game.
Yep,
We've seen
70
all we
points a
need.
game.
Hey, when you score 70 points, I mean, do you really need anything else? Do you
No.
need more data? Do you need more information?
No,
I don't
not
think
at all.
so.
No,
No, this team is great, and I will not hear arguments to the contrary.
but we still will talk for the next hour and change here on episode 222 of Podcast versus Everyone. I am Craig Powers, and with me, as usual, is Jeff Nusser. I'm going to apologize if there's like music in the background. I'm recording a Beer Star. There's some kind of little bit of remodeling at my house right now. My office is out of shape, and I don't have an overhead light. I don't have various. I haven't put the curtains up that block the French doors into my youngest daughter's room, where now both of my daughters are sleeping because we got the youngest a loft bed, and so the youngest
Ooh.
is sleeping. The oldest is sleeping in the top part, and then the youngest is sleeping on a mattress on the floor in the bottom part. So they've just been sharing a bedroom.
It's like sleep overnight every night.
Yeah, every night. So, which is nice. I just one bedtime story knocks it out, both of them out. It's good. Which yeah, but anyways, so that which is nice, because I had to bail. I'm bailing on them on these next 2 weekends going to Pullman, so I spend double time with them and all that. But yeah,
That's right.
so I was in Pullman this weekend. It was very exciting to be back. I got a full weekend out of it. I got in to Pullman in time to go to the Cougar Collective event at the Lumberyard, which if you are going to Pullman for any of these weekends, I think they're having them every Friday from 3 to 6 before football games. They have Jake Dickert talk. They have players from other sports. I saw women's basketball players. You literally get a free drink plus food. And then they also, if you're an 1890 member, you get 2 more free drinks. So if you're an 1890 member, you get 3 free drinks.
Jeez.
And they had Old Crimson on tap. And then I also got a bunch of Old Crimson merch for free. So it was a pretty good time. I had it just pulling in about 4:30. It started at 3, but they didn't have the program really start till 4:30. I got to hear from Jenna Villa and some of the other basketball players, Alex Colo and all that.
That's awesome.
That was nice, and they got help from Dickert. Dickert is such a guy that's built for this type of stuff, man. Like
Yes.
he's just he's energetic, and he knows how to talk to a crowd, and he walks around the crowd and talks to everyone. He's very good at this stuff. Definitely a change from like our last 2 coaches before him, I would say. But yeah, it was interesting to see him in action. I like at a donor event, and he's talking about how excited he was. Now that he can talk about the collective. He was like waiting at like midnight when that law came. He send out a tweet about it and stuff. So they're really excited to actually be a part of. Have that be something that they can promote, because obviously that means a lot to him as a coach.
Yeah.
To be able to have that support. Yeah,
Like it has
absolutely.
to, both have to be on the same page. I think Florida State is doing a great job of showing what happens when you're not on the same page.
Absolutely.
I have no proof that a booster pushed for DJ Uangalale, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, to go there, but that's my working theory that no coach in his right mind would have watched that guy play football and thought, this should be our quarterback for a championship level team. But some rich booster was like, I love him. I will pay for him to show up.
Yeah, I think we all last year we all saw the Beavs maybe with if they had Cam Ward, the Beavs are probably a playoff team, but with DJ not so much.
Yes.
No. Yeah, and so Miami definitely got the better Pac-2 transfer there.
Yes.
Because Cam Ward had a hell of a game for Miami against Florida, and kind of was his best version of himself. And we've seen that, especially in big games. So cheers to him. He's making a lot of money and balling out, so good for him.
But enough about our
ex-quarterback.
How about our new quarterback?
I can tell you, Cam Ward never averaged 30 yards a pass. Or 30 yards of completion, 20 yards a pass, 30 yards of completion.
No. What the hell was he doing? I mean, come on, man. John Mateer. Look, it's all up. It's all up from here, right? Like, so we can expect that this weekend that he'll throw for like 400 yards on 17 pass attempts instead of only 352.
1,500 yards on 17 pass attempts.
Yeah, he's going to average 100 yards per attempt.
We're gonna intentionally, which I've done on video games before, intentionally just like down the ball on the 1 yard line, so you can get as many
or like
yards
delay
as you
of
can.
games all the way back.
Delay of the games all the way back, so you can get as many yards as you can. Yeah, we gotta start doing that because literally, like that offense, especially once they got going in that second drive, was video game shit. Like that was insane. Like it was insane. Like it. Well, like
Sarah kept saying to me, like, "How's the game going? You're not yelling. I don't hear you. I don't like whatever." And then she like texted me later and was like, "It's like 70-30. How come I haven't heard you screaming?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like it was just so. Yeah, it was so ridiculous and insane. Like all I could do was sort of like chuckle and smirk. Like I didn't know. I mean, what do you do when your team rips off another 50-yard touchdown for like the fifth time?
The fifth time in a row. Row.
It's just like drive after drive after drive. Like we're just gonna touch the ball and score and touch the ball and score. It's like
3 and out on their first drive.
Yeah.
And then they gave up a touchdown. I was in the beer line for all that, by the way. Fuck the beer line. But the concessions were a disaster. We talk about that some other time. We'll see how they work when the stadium's actually full this weekend, whatever. But anyway, so it's 7-0. I get back to my seat, and then they hit the long pass to kick off the scoring, and then Portland State punts back. First play, another touchdown. And it just kept going like that. And then it was so crazy. I've never seen look, it doesn't matter who you're playing. 12 and a half yards of play, 20 plus yards of pass. Insane, dude. It's just crazy to watch it go like that. They ended up, after the second half being less than 20 yards of pass, but still, they were barely trying to move the ball in the fourth quarter and still ended up with 12 and a half yards of play.
Yeah, I mean, it was, as I said, it was 16 yards of play when Mateer left the game. That is, I can't even describe how bonkers that is. 8 yards of play is really good. And we were doing double that up until that. It's crazy.
And it wasn't just the passing game. Wayshawn Parker.
No, it was everything.
Breaking off huge runs. Also, Wayshawn Parker. Oh my God, dude, that dude is legit.
Oh my God. Yes.
I mean, I don't know what to say. He's gonna have a huge year. Against our schedule, he's gonna have a huge year, and we should just appreciate him while he's here.
Yes. because it might only be for 1 year. But that's okay. We're just going to enjoy it. We're going to appreciate it because we can do that. But I mean, even Leo Pulalasi, he rushed for only 54 yards on 8 carries, right? Like he was about 7 yards a carry. Mateer had his one long run.
Yeah, that touchdown run.
Where
I think
he made
that
a
was,
guy miss.
Yeah, that might have been a first play thing as well. It's funny. Like I thought Ted Robinson did a great job. It was really nice to have him not so focused on all the Bay Area and LA schools, because it feels like he just always was talking about them, even if it was WSU versus Oregon State.
Yes.
But you know what? When he's your homer guy, he's actually pretty fun. And he does his research. So, so I'll give him tons of credit because we've ragged on him a lot in the past. He did really good. Ryan Leaf is so great. So it was really fun. But they got interrupted so much. They couldn't tell a story. They couldn't do anything.
It was oops, another touchdown.
It was so funny. I think Ted was telling a story at one point, and then Wayshawn Parker broke off that touchdown. Right?
That was Kirk Schultz. Kirk Schultz was the one telling.
Oh yeah,
he was telling the story.
That's right. Yeah, and then he's like, oh well, this is going to be good, I guess. And then
he just Kirk just kept talking, and I'm like, shut up, Kirk.
And again,
a touchdown happening.
Ted, a great line. He was like, "You need it to have guys like Wayshawn Parker." It's exactly.
That was pretty good. That was a professional broadcaster segue. I liked that.
So I say, obviously the school thought he did well because they barely used. It's the new guy, the new WSU announcer from Idaho. Who went to Wazoo.
I am drawing a total blank.
Chris
on
King,
his name,
Chris King,
a bad person. Yes, there
Chris
we go.
King. So they only used a few lines from Chris King in the cinematic recap and used a bunch from Ted Robinson. So
interesting.
So I maybe they were just tapping. I mean, honestly, Ted, the CW broadcast was so homer for Wazoo.
Yes.
It was crazy homer. If Ryan Leaf
more than Pac-12 network ever was.
Yeah.
Which is kind of insane.
Dude, it's fun because in the studio they have all the helmets lined up and it's just Wazoo and Oregon State helmets.
Yeah, it's 3 Wazoo helmets, 3 Oregon State helmets.
CW logo is Oregon State colors.
Yes, I know.
It's so funny. But they obviously I think you mentioned that they were using the Pac-12 broadcast probably infrastructure and the I went back. I watched it.
I think it was a Pac-12 network broadcast from start to finish, on the CW.
It was really well done. You had Mike Yam. It was good. It was good broadcast. It felt comfy, and you had good, talented people. Ryan Leaf again, just impressive. He does such a good job. You and I think both agree. I would take him over Yogi.
Yes,
he's just a little more honest.
Yogi's just not my flavor, man. I know a lot of people love him. This is not a slam on him. He's great. He's just not my flavor. I'm like, man, give me some honest assessment. Give me, don't be afraid to say if a guy screwed up. We don't always need it. And again, that's Yogi's vibe. So good for him, but it's not my deal.
On the first touchdown pass to Hudson, Leafs, that was a great catch. Not a great throw. It could have been a better throw and all this stuff.
Is an okay throw. Really great catch, which was totally true, right? It wasn't a great, and I think that was part of the reason why.
Though, man, that layout photo.
Yes.
It's sick.
Yeah. Jack Ellis, my man.
Yeah.
I remember when the catch was made, Sarah didn't hear that part. I did get pretty excited for that one.
Yeah.
She just didn't hear it. But, I remember thinking at the time, okay, so this is 2 drives in. We had the 3 and out, and then we had a quick completion to start the second drive that got 15 yards and a first down to Kyle Williams. And then it was incompletion, 3rd and long. And then he converts the 3rd and long with his feet.
Did we have to convert a 4th down after that, right?
No.
Oh, maybe that was a later drive. That was the next drive, I think. Yeah.
So it was, so Mateer converts the 3rd and 10 with his
barely legs. Breaks a tackle in the pocket.
Right. So he has to outrun a guy and get to the corner.
By the way, nice to have thickly back there in the pocket. We are not letting that die. Thickly. John, thickly Mateer.
That's right.
That is sticking.
Mr. 600-pound legs, as they
600-pound legs. I love
600-pound
dude.
legs.
I love it.
But it was like, okay, so he converts that way, and then a couple of plays later, you get that touchdown. It like where my brain was at was, okay, the touchdown, the catch was amazing. John Mateer has made like one good throw.
Yeah, out of
out
like
of all
8,
these, right?
Out of like 8 at
Yeah.
that point. I think he was like 2 of 8 at that point.
Yeah. And so even though I was like ecstatic and it was great, I mean, now the game's tied, great, we're not losing anymore. But I was just kind of like, still not a great throw, but hey, awesome catch. Okay, cool. And then of course it took off from there, and he locked in and was really, really good after that. But yeah, up until that point, it was still kind of touch and go. And for whatever reason, that seemed to kind of settle him down, and he really took off after that.
It's nice to have that FCS team for the first game.
Yes.
With you, because if they were playing Texas Tech or whatever, like that first game, and he has 2 tough drives, it's like, we needed those drives, man. But it was just, I mean, it wasn't just him, the broken tackles in the secondary, like over and over again, the play designs to have dude wide open guys. Like, Wayshawn Parker and Kyle Williams had that wide open touchdown as well, which actually twice. And then again, Leaf made a nice assessment of that. He took a little hitch. If he would have just thrown it right away, he would have hit Williams, but then Williams had outrun it by the time he actually threw the ball. Next time they ran that play, he throws it quick. It's a touchdown. So that's a nice insight from Leaf. Like he's good. He's a good like in-game. You don't get like that level of in-game analysis very often.
Not
honestly.
usually, and not usually that quick either. And I think that's where Leaf. If we'll take like a quick detour into Leaf real quick, like just how quickly he recognized what was going on. You don't always get that from broadcasters, even former quarterbacks. Like the ability to diagnose things quickly. It's one of the reasons why people like Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Right, is he's able to do that. I'm sure Tom Brady will be able to do that when he does it. Or the Manning cast, it's the same kind of deal. They're able to do that. So Leaf was able to do that and just kind of diagnose what was happening right away, which was like super cool and beneficial. And I think something you said that I thought was really insightful was that, sometimes when you're listening to broadcasters, you're dealing with, sort of an extremely, I don't know, overcooked sense of self-confidence from those guys. Like, this is what you are seeing, stupid
I played,
viewer.
so I know. I
right? Like, I know what I'm talking about. This is what's happening. And you're like, that's just a dumb platitude. Like, what are you talking about? But Leaf, on the other hand, like, again, he had the insight, but he also like had it in this very, I guess just sort of like really kind of down to earth,
like
level-headed kind of way. Yeah. Like just like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. And I think you kind of pointed out like the journey he's been on in his life from, the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. It has encouraged that kind of introspection, and it has a way of humbling a person to the point where there's no, like, you just don't see the need for the false bravado, even when you're a broadcaster.
Yeah, and obviously Leaf naturally has that kind of like arrogant level personality. Obviously, WSU is very famous for that, but he still has that. Like he's not afraid to say stuff. Obviously, we saw that with his departure from ESPN recently and stuff. But now he's kind of got this like level-headed approach while still having that kind of ability to speak his mind, and so it lends itself really well, especially to the in-game broadcasting. I think like he had been doing some other stuff like
like a radio show,
like desk stuff and radio show, but he's really good at the in-game broadcasting.
Yeah, he's really good at it.
I'm excited. We're gonna hear him several more times this year.
Yeah,
and again, I was very happy with Ted Robinson. We'll hear him a few more times. He was so effusive in his praise for Pullman. Like, it was so cool. It was fun.
He understood the assignment.
Yes,
For sure.
absolutely. And he knows Pullman very well. He's been here a
Yep.
billion fucking
Been there
times.
lots of
Like,
times. Yeah.
yep. He knows all the traditions. He knows everything. And finally, he was able to just talk about the Cougs instead of like just hyping up or having to talk about, Oregon's playoff implications or USC or whatever.
You're celebrating the
Um,
conference
yeah,
in general. Yeah.
that's what's going to be fun about just having two teams on these like two teams in the conference to talk
Yes.
about is that they're only going to talk about those two teams. Like they're not going to give
And
a
it's
shit about
only
the
for the
Mountain West
home
teams.
games,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So
yep.
like it's all of the home games except for this one, right? Because this one's on Fox.
Except for the Tech one, yeah.
Yeah, but the rest of them are all on the C-Dub, and so yeah, we're gonna get lots of those guys.
And I'll say
Um,
so. And on the broadcast, since we're on the point, 223,000 was the number, and that's
Yeah.
really good for a
Yeah.
midday blowout win over an FCS. And I guarantee
On Labor Day weekend.
on Labor Day weekend, I guarantee on Pac-12 Network, you weren't even touching 100, maybe not even,
Yeah.
maybe around 50. Like honestly, like that blows out a number that you would ever have Pac-12
Yeah.
Network just because of the access to it, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, just having it on broadcast TV. The Beavs did 381 for that's the difference in prime time, obviously.
Yeah. I think
And the difference of not having like a blowout game where no one's going to want to turn to it when it's 56-17 or
Right.
whatever, in the first half. Or
well, it's also the
49
games. It's also the games you're up against too, right? So
Oh, yeah.
at noon, you're up against
you're-
all those other
all the Big
Midwest,
Ten,
East Coast
SEC
games.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
yep,
I
just a
think-
little different.
nice performance, honestly. 223.
Yeah.
I think again, that's just like it's nice to be on broadcast television.
Yeah.
Like
It was so nice.
it's fine.
Craig, I didn't
laugh.
have to steal your Comcast login to watch the
Yeah.
game. So
Well,
that
now
was,
Jeff,
that was
it's gonna
cool.
be stealing my DirecTV login because fuck Comcast.
But I don't need to. I don't need
Yep.
to. That's the whole
Yep.
point. I don't need to. I
Exactly.
get the CW now.
Yeah.
So,
Also, not that the Mariners are depressing at this point, but with DirecTV, you can watch the Mariners away from your house, and
Oh.
Comcast does not let you do that. It says you have
Well
to turn
then.
in-home Wi-Fi. So
Wow.
difference. Not to sell it, but I was just so tired of Comcast. Like half
Oh,
of
yeah.
they would have an app, and they'd be like half the things would be like, oh, you have to be on in-home Wi-Fi. You have to be
Right.
on in-home Wi-Fi.
like,
I
what's
was
the
like,
point?
and I would be on in-home Wi-Fi, and it still would be like on my laptop. It would be like you have to be on in-home Wi-Fi. I'm like, I am. I'm like, what?
I am, you jerks.
So I'm happy to be doing with that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
But anyway, so back to the game. The offense just incredible.
Yeah. What did you? By the way, what do you make of what the offensive line did? Because the skill guys obviously were a cut above. The offensive line didn't allow any sacks. Really didn't allow much pressure on the quarterbacks at all. The running
Yeah,
backs
really. That
went
it was
bonkers.
honestly like when Mateer almost got sacked and ran for that first down. That's more on him because that was a
Yes.
that was a
He was trying
that was
to
a-
extend a play.
that was that was an uncovered blitzer. Like
Yes.
that's uncovered blitzer is always on the quarterback. Like that's your fault. Like your linemen aren't calling that. Like you need to shift the coverage to like do that,
Right.
or you just simply do not have enough people to cover it, and they were blitzing.
and then you got to
I
get rid of
think.
the ball. Right.
You got to get rid of the ball. But anyway, one touch. I loved they dominated in run blocking. We have not seen that since like 2018, probably.
Yeah.
The way they
I mean,
manhandled
8 yards a carry, 224
and-
yards total.
And look, you can be like, oh, they're shitty, and yeah, Portland State's defense is really shitty, but they didn't do that against shitty teams in the last couple of years. Like they
No.
weren't. It was still struggling to run, and I do think the running backs themselves are a cut
Yes.
above what
Yep.
we had the last couple of years. Like it did.
Certainly
this is-
more depth. Certainly
more depth, and I think Pelosi and Parker are legit, and Schlembecker is looking better than he was in the past. I think those three guys really, really good running back core, and then I think the offensive line's better. And honestly, we fired the guy who historically had really shitty offensive lines.
Yeah.
And don't know why we ever brought him back in the first place. And he's gone. and oh wow, the offensive line is
Yeah, he
instantly
keeps getting
better.
fired and leaving. He keeps going back to Texas Tech, and it's like maybe you're not good, actually.
I know. It's like, why does he keep getting these jobs like every time, like every
Yeah,
time? So, but yeah,
yeah. I
so
mean, I'm thrilled. I'm
but we're
thrilled with what
facing we're
happened.
facing him next week, Clay McGuire.
Yes,
Um,
yes, we are. Hopefully, he sucks
or we're
at his
facing him in a
job.
couple of
So
days, I should say. Um, so hopefully, yeah, just as bad. But anyway, so yeah, like offense was just 5 stars. Obviously, dude, I was so yeah. This year, our buddies Lars and AJ, we got a Loge box, and which is a fun experience. I've talked about. I've done the suite, I've done the club, but now we have the Loge box, and so they group the Loge boxes are in like 4 together. So it's just running back and forth and high fiving everyone, and we kept joking that our hands are getting tired, our hands are starting to hurt because we're just like high fiving over and over again.
too many high
It's
five and white guys.
it's right. There was this group of it looked like a dad and like 3 like college age kids, 3 or 4 college age kids. And I kept running over high fiving them. We'd like get in huddles and we were having fun with all the touchdowns because it was like honestly like you could half watch the game and it'd be like touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Yes.
And and so my buddy Kalen, who I grew up with from Natchez, like he decided to come over late and shows up at the game, and then I see him over at that box, and I go over and I'm like, "What's up, Kalen? You know these guys?" And like, turns out they're all from Natchez. His nephew is in that group.
Of course.
So it's just all these like guys from a town of 650 were comprising like a significant portion of the Loge boxes in Wazoo.
Got it, all that ag money, buddy, baby. You
that
got to get
ag
all that
money. Oh,
orchard,
yeah,
all
dude.
that orchard money.
Oh yeah, I had a good time talking to the people in the box next to us. It was they both were in the dairy program at Wazoo, animal sciences, and they
Yeah.
they worked. The husband works in for a dairy in Sunnyside, and so we were talking about what they do, and it was fun talking to them. We went and had an old Crimson in the parking lot after the game, so they were fun, and so it was a fun atmosphere. It was fun to be back in that, but just yeah, it was just like constant. We were joking, like we're high fiving constantly, and there was
Yeah.
2 touchdowns called back, so we literally
Yes.
did 12 high five touchdowns, like 12
Yeah, the most
high fives.
bullshit reversal of a scoop and score that you'll ever see.
Dude, I could not see an angle where
There is.
it looked like where
It
he
was insane.
like it didn't look like where. How could you see that he was throwing the ball? Like he hadn't
His
even moved his arm
moved
at all
forward because he
because
was
it
hit.
got hit so hard.
He was not throwing.
And
it
because
was so insane.
because it was Edson, right? It was like swinging his arm to poke
Yes.
the ball out, and he poked
Yes.
the ball out,
Yes.
and it flew
was
forward,
whatever,
and
man.
and it's like they called it right on the field. What are we doing? What's going on?
We will never escape Pac-12 refs, and it always amuses me. Of course, I am full. Everybody who knows me knows that I am full ban replay. Like I just think replay is a scourge on sports, just in general. But it was very hilarious to me to have Ted and Ryan both be like, yeah, that's clearly a fumble. That's clearly a fumble. What do you think, rules analyst Michael Mothershed? Now, most of you may not know his name, but as soon as you saw him, you knew him
Yep.
as a former Pac-12 ref, right? And then he gets on, and of course
He's like,
it's
"That's
very
a
funny. Yeah, and it's very funny too. Like they put these guys on TV who have spent however many decades standing on a field, turning on microphones, talking to crowds, and then you put them in front of a camera and suddenly they can't talk. And it's like he did eventually get out like, yeah, that looks like a fumble to me. I do not see anything that would overturn that the other direction. And then of course the other guy, Pac-12 ref, gets out there and is like, upon further review, the arm was moving forward. It's an incomplete pass. Like everybody's like, what the fuck? Like this is insane. So yeah, I don't know, man. It was easy to laugh about because of the game state. But I was really just laughing. I was like, that's so stupid.
And there was kind of an iffy holding call that negated a pick as well, which I did. We did high fives for that one as well. So we had
Yep.
we had many false start high fives. So
But the
yeah,
reversal of the fumble did give us Stephen Hall's 100-yard touchdown. So I
that
guess it
was
worked out okay.
that was awesome. Also, where the hell was Portland State's quarterback throwing that ball? Like
I
do
don't
not
know.
get it, dude. There was no one. Like that must have been that had to be the wrong route run.
Yeah,
Like,
or like an option route or something, and he
Yeah,
thought
it must
sure
have been
he
like,
was going to
okay,
go out, and
okay.
he went in, and
So,
I don't know.
or he read maybe the receiver read it right. Oh, it's zone. I'm running to the corner, or something. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the receiver broke in. I don't know. I mean, with Stephen Hall standing out there, there's no reason why the receiver would have gone out. Like if it was an option route.
That's why I was
Like-
like, we got to wear crimson jerseys for every game.
Yeah, maybe that's it. We just need
Can't
to
see him standing
in.
over there.
blend in with the end zone, little camouflage. But yeah, as soon as he caught it, I was like, well, that's a touchdown.
I know,
Because
right?
I just
Same.
thought,
Same.
I couldn't see. I'm sure you could see the rest
Oh
of the
yeah, I
field.
could see the whole field. Like it was only the quarterback.
I
but there
couldn't
was,
see the
5.
field, but I was like, there's no way there's anybody between him
Yeah,
and the end
I
zone.
mean, yeah, they're in a goal line basically.
Yeah,
all
they're in a
the end
goal
zone.
line. They were, I think they were empty
Yeah.
when they ran the play.
There wasn't a running back back there.
And I'm just like, there's nobody there, and nobody's going to catch him. And maybe the quarterback can try to get close, but like,
He
there's going to
tried.
be.
He got his
Yeah,
shit
but I
knocked
was
out
like,
of him.
it was exactly what I thought, which is there's going to be linemen in the way, and there's probably a linebacker that's going to be in the way. Like, I don't know, man. Whatever.
Yeah, they blocked-
Everything
they
was
blocked
going
that
our
well.
way. Yeah,
Oh,
everything
yeah.
went our way. Portland State is terrible, but like, we've faced a lot of terrible teams over the years and haven't done what we did this weekend, and that does make me feel pretty optimistic about where we're heading.
What do you think about the defense giving up 30 points? Like, where does that? How does that register for you?
Yeah, I think I don't remember who it was, so apologies to the premium member on Slack who said this, but somebody said something to the effect of, I feel much better if one side of the ball had to be not great. I feel much better about
Yes.
it being the defense that wasn't great. I have a lot more confidence in the defense to get it right. Like, so if the offense had come out and been pretty putrid, I
Yeah.
might have been like,
Yeah.
here we go again, right? Like, we've been through this inconsistent offense. But with the defense, I think we all feel pretty decent about Jake Dickert's ability to figure some shit out. And then the other thing was, so 30 points they gave up 4 touchdowns and a field goal, right?
Yeah.
And so the very first touchdown, I think, again, you can kind of chalk that one up to over-aggression, nerves, whatever.
Yeah.
Because they just like way over-pursued on lots of things, and then they got gashed, right? Okay, so, that's one of the 4 touchdowns. Another touchdown was once some backups had been brought in. It was kind of a weird ass jump ball thing to the sideline, and then the backup DB who was in there had one of the worst efforts I've ever seen at trying to both break
Yeah.
up the pass and
Yep.
tackle the guy. I was like, oh, my friend, you are gonna get shredded on film day.
Yeah.
So that was another one. And then there was one at the end of the game, and so there was enough dominance in there that it didn't make me think like, oh shit, like we got a problem on our hands.
Yeah.
What did concern me, and I think this is kind of the bigger one, just real lack of pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
And that is something we worried about heading in. I think we felt like, okay, we don't necessarily have those dynamic pass rushers this year. Nothing in the game on Saturday would change your mind that we are going to struggle to rush the passer this year. And that's the part that I think concerns me going forward.
Absolutely. To pile on some of the stuff about the defense, they were on the field constantly. Like, we were scoring
Yes.
so quick.
They were on the field for 40 damn minutes.
Yeah, and that wasn't all
And it
because
was like
of them.
90
That was-
degrees.
Yeah. but also like they gave up in the end 5.4 yards of play, which is not much.
Yeah,
They were on the
totally
field for
reasonable.
83 plays. Like Portland
Yeah.
State had some crazy conversions.
That's a good point.
Like they were like Portland State was kind of just methodically moving. They did have a few big plays on a couple drives, but I don't know. Like, but you're exactly right. What I would worry about the most is the fact that we couldn't get a pass rush. And I'll say Portland State did have some dudes on offense. They're very much an offensive focused team. I would have
Yes.
thought we would have given up some points to them. By the way, my full game score prediction was the halftime score prediction, or the halftime score, 49-17.
Yep.
But yeah, like honestly, when you're scoring 70, the other team, like if you're not Alabama, the other team's gonna score some points.
Yes.
Like if you're scoring like that. But yeah, 5.4 yards of play is bad. It's really bad. You usually can't get to 30 points if you're doing 5.4 yards of play. Some weird stuff has to happen. Like their quarterback was pretty good at kind of getting out of trouble and making crazy plays. Obviously we're going to face more guys like that, but yeah, like you said, I have a good feeling that Dickert's going to correct and defensive staff are going to correct some of that headed forward. We've seen them have really bad defensive games and then come back and have amazing defensive games under Dickert, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again. And yeah, like how it was hot. How motivated were they when the offense is just going constantly? Like it was 49-10 or whatever. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And after that, like you're just like we're up 49-10 against Portland State. Like this game's over.
And it also coaches love to be able to have those, teaching moments. And
Dicker,
so
at halftime was like,
Yeah.
I love this. This is like perfect. Or maybe it was third quarter, like said, this is perfect. Like we're there's a lot of good and there's a lot for me to teach. Like I love it.
Yep.
Like you said that on
Yep.
the sideline interview.
Yep. So there will be, lots and lots of teaching this weekend as they head into Texas Tech. So
Well, head into
maybe
literally.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah. Before we do that, I want to go get another beer from the bar.
Okay.
But then we can get into what is the start of the most difficult part of WSU's schedule.
Okay. We'll
All right.
be back.
I'll be right back. We are back,
All right.
and
Okay. So should we do beer segment now then?
yeah, because I
Now
just
that you're
got
back?
it. So yeah, let me take a sip.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty good. I just randomly picked a random one, but yeah, I'll say that. Anyways,
Did you roll the dice?
no, he's got some ones he wants to clear out because he's got some
okay.
fresh out beers. So
All right.
it was like whatever you want to do.
Yes. Well, that means we're gonna have to record a show together live at Beer Star so I can drink fresh hops.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Just say, hey, we're back.
We already did that.
Oh, are we? This is
Yeah.
podcast.
Oh yeah,
my
we're
bad.
talking.
Oh yeah. So anyway, Jeff, you go first. You always go first in the beer segment.
Okay.
Literally had no idea that we were recording.
Yeah, we're back. Okay, so my beer tonight is a Holy Mountain beer, which I'm sure you're familiar with. You've heard of Holy Mountain.
What's that? What's that brewery?
Holy Mountain Brewery.
Only have eight sweatshirts from that brewery.
Only. This is a Seed to Blackened Acres, which is a wheat lager. That's what?
Amazing. Amazing name.
Yeah. And my thought about it, so I was trying to figure, we always try to tie our beers into the, like what's going on the show, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say Saturday's game was like a seed to Blackened Acres, right? Like the Blackened Acres, like the burned wheat fields after the harvest.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking okay, we've had the burned wheat fields after the harvest with the disintegration of the Pac-12, and we were down bad. But this This is a seed.
But they burn the field
This
for a
weekend's
reason.
game. Yes, a seed to the Blackened Acres. So here we are. Wheat Lager. It's a brilliant beer. I love it. It's great.
It
As
sounds
usual,
amazing.
with
Sounds
pretty much anything that Holy Mountain makes. Of course, like most Holy Mountain cans now, which have now incorporated, I don't know how long it's been now, but incorporated some color. This can is brilliant. It's got like fire coming out of the ground, and
honestly, the art of Holy Mountain is like as good as the beer.
Yep.
It's so good.
Totally agree. Yep. So yeah, a seed to Blackened Acres, excellent beer. Of course, I've got my Old Crimson sidecar beer for when I'm ready for that. So
Excellent.
yes. Yeah. How about you, man?
So I went up, in the break, and I got a beer, and Sully, the bartender, he's got a few that he wants to kick, as I said, because he's got fresh hops coming on. So I was just like, whatever ones you want to kick, and so he gave me, the elk one's good. So it is ilk. Again, like I think it fits pretty well with the theme is ilk, alter your expectations. So I think that after last week we literally were like fretting about the offense and about the quarterback. Maybe we got to alter our expectations a little bit now.
Yes.
Which by the way, FPI has us at 8 wins right now. Prediction,
Wow.
but
That took a big jump after one game.
Yep, exactly. So this is a hazy IPA. It's pretty solid. It's like very like tropical fruit, papaya like vibes. It's really good. Ilk is I don't think I've done an ilk brewer. So the head brewer at Ilk is a guy named Pat, who was the first head brewer at Three Magnets, and then was recruited to be the first head brewer at Matchless. And now this is his first brewery that is his brewery. He's doing some fun stuff, some interesting stuff, and he's a phenomenal brewer, and he never wears sleeves. Just a real fun guy. Really like him. But yeah, and he makes great beer. And this one's really good. Not the hugest hazy fan, but this is really tasty. So yeah, Ilk Brewing, they're in Olympia. Check them out. You can, if you live in Western Washington, their beer shows up at a lot of beer bars and stuff. They're pretty well regarded. So yeah, and This is a solid beer. And I'm helping kill a keg so they can get a fresh hot beer on. So double
Love
good.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, so Jeff, our expectations are altered. So let's now talk about Texas Tech, who I think we both gave around a 50-50 shot to last week. 55, maybe I was 55 and you were 50. I
can tell you exactly.
Okay.
I still have it here. You were at 50 and I was at 45. And I do believe that our expectations have been altered. I know that I would not say 45 again.
Yeah, I'm at the point like I'm just gonna say I'm like a 65 at this game now. Like
that's funny. I'd probably go up 15 as well to like 60.
Yeah, like my expectation is to win this game now. Like
for sure.
Texas Tech narrowly beat Abilene Christian, another FCS team.
Yep.
Their offense looked really good. Josh Kelly, former Coug, looked really good. But their defense, if we're worried about our defense against an FCS team, imagine giving up 51 points to an FCS team.
And damn near losing. That was in overtime.
They should have lost.
Yes.
They got lucky.
Abilene Christian
team would have converted the 2-point
they scored
conversion,
first, didn't convert the 2, and then.
Oh, that's right. It was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So. Yep.
Cheers to them for doing that, by the way. Well, I thought they should have went for 2 at the end of regulation. But they scored and they went for then, and it was like, okay. But yeah, hell of a game. But we were talking about yards per play earlier.
Yes.
Texas Tech just 52 points, but 7.28, which is against an FCS team, is not like spectacular.
Not brilliant, no.
That's good against a normal, like against a like team.
Yeah.
7.28. That's fine.
Yep.
But they allowed 7.15 to an FCS team.
Yes.
Where I talked about WSU just we felt bad about our defense, but they were like 5.4 yards per play. So basically, they were playing this Abilene Christian like basically these were two evenly matched teams in that game.
Yes.
And we know that like those first games can mean absolutely nothing, and we can maybe think that about WSU as well. But I'd rather have a good performance in the first game than a not good.
Sure.
I mean, also like Texas Tech very happy to escape that game with a win. But one interesting thing that they continue this game and we saw last year is that they run the ball a lot.
Yes.
With a guy named Taj Brooks. They had 32 carries total in the game. He had 27. And that is
which is wild.
par for the course stuff for them. What did you say? He had 30 carries like 5 times last year?
Yeah, he had a
that?
stretch last year where he carried the ball 30 plus times, 4 times over 5 games.
That's
if that makes sense.
I don't know how your legs still work. Like I don't know.
Yeah, so he's their very own thickly. He's a big dude. He's strong. He'll carry the ball a lot of times. It is like, so obviously he can do it because he's done it before. I mean, they relied on him, to a pretty extreme degree last year. I know after the game he was listed as questionable. I don't know if that is for this week. I don't know if that has changed.
So I've seen as
all.
of September 2nd, yeah, he's listed as questionable. I doubt that he's not going to play.
That feels more like the way they do it in the NFL, where they're like they more
Also,
measure it off participation,
it's
right?
questionable arm. He's gonna like if it's your arm,
he's gonna
like
play.
he's
gonna
like
play.
he's playing. He'd play. Like there's no way he's not going to play.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think he's going to play. And the question is, how effective can he be? I will say like that stretch where he had all those rushes, his effectiveness definitely sort of dwindled as he went along.
Yeah.
So he had, which you would expect, right? So he had the first in that stretch about halfway through the season. He had 31 carries for 170 yards against Baylor.
So by the way,
so
I just saw from a Texas Tech or like a Lubbock station that he is game time decision. But I think we know what that game time decision is.
Yeah, I think so too. And then 2 weeks later after that, he went 30 for 101 against BYU, which is not great. That's like 3.4 yards per carry. He went for 31 and 146 against TCU, which is good, but that's still only 4.7 yards a carry. That's not like super explosive. And then the last one in that stretch was against Kansas. He went 33 for 133, which is only 4 yards a carry. So now I will say, like, I'm kind of trying to, make this narrative that he got worn down. The week after that, he only had 24 carries, but he had 182 yards against UCF. So, like, clearly he was not tired from carrying the ball all those times. So, it is a really heavy workload, for a college running back. Maybe this guy is just sort of a unicorn and able to do that. You do got to think that, knowing Dickert, that stopping Brooks is going to be like, that's going to be like job 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Like that's like, that like the thing that bothered him most about Saturday was the inability to really be physical at the line of scrimmage and really dictate the rushing game.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. There's no way that they're not game planning for Brooks to play. And I mean, is Texas Tech, even if Brooks doesn't play, just going to stop running the ball a bunch? I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
But he played in every game last year. He played in every game last year.
Dude's playing.
And after, first 2 games, he had 11 carries and 7 carries. And then after that, his lowest carry total was 17. And topping out at 33. So I will be shocked. I'll be shocked if he doesn't play.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so that's going to be number one thing. Obviously, they're kind of the old school, like get your ground game going, but we saw last year, Wisconsin, Oregon State, they were able to slow down to run heavy teams. They actually did best against run heavy teams.
Yeah.
It seems like they're able to scheme best against teams that rely on those runs. So I trust that the staff can do that. Now, if do they have the players that they did last year on the line? No, but it's not like they were big on the line last year.
No.
And so I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, like that's going to be number one job, stopping that run. But yeah, they were solid overall offensively. They're FPI. They're 65th. Like they're not. It's funny. I was listening to people talk about this game, in the tailgates and stuff, and I think people were thinking that I think they were confusing Texas Tech and Texas A&M a little bit. Because like, oh yeah, they're ranked. They're in like the 20s and all this stuff. And I'm like, I was like, I don't think that's correct. But I've had like a lot of drinks and I'm not going to look it up because my phone's almost dead. But I don't think that's correct.
All of those teams in Texas are the same. They're all the same.
Yeah. That like SEC team with $1 billion oil dollars is exactly the same as Texas Tech. So they're this is like the Vegas has it as a really close game. Bill Connolly has it as a close game. FPI has it as a close game. All with WSU winning narrowly. But is WSU actually better than we thought? And those assessments haven't adjusted. That could very well be the case because WSU didn't start out very highly rated because they lost so many players and because we didn't know what John Mateer could do. And it kind of looks like John Mateer might be pretty good. And it looks like our receiving core might be pretty good. And our running back core might be pretty good. And our offensive line might be a little bit better than we thought. So you have that side of the ball where it might be a lot better. Maybe the defense is a little worse, but it might be the offense is going to make up for that. And now you're playing Texas Tech, and I know maybe we're overreacting, but after one game of both teams playing actual football games, this game seems more in the favor of the Cougs than we thought initially.
I don't know. I'm a huge believer in looking at the betting markets as sort of a gauge of these kinds of things. Because really it's just the betting markets are sort of just a different way of expressing power rankings, basically, like, actual strength of teams. And, the fact that I don't know what, if there was a line on this game, like a futures line on this game, before the season started or anything like that. But, the fact that after that one game, WSU opened as a 1.5 favorite right out of the gate was surprising. And then the fact that it really hasn't changed much, it did move a little bit more toward like WSU -1, -0.5, that sort of thing. But as far as I know, it's kind of back up around 1.5 to the Cougs. And so the fact that now 1.5 isn't much, and it's not much different than a pick'em, obviously. I would guess that the implied odds there are something like 55-45 or 53-47 or something like that. So very slight favorite to WSU. But at the same time, like that, I don't think that's what it would have been had we not done what we did and they not done what they did. And, I don't think that's where the number is at that point. I think before the season, we all would have agreed that, at the very least, if WSU was going to be a favorite, it would have been very small, maybe like 0.5 or something. And I certainly was on the side that I thought Texas Tech would be favored. I don't know if we're overreacting. Maybe Vegas is overreacting because that does happen, and bettors overreact. I mean, those things do happen. But I think the fact that the line was set there and it's more or less stayed there, I think is a sense of what the perception is, not just of us as Cougar fans, but like the betting public in general, which, includes a lot of people who just want to make money, right? Like these aren't people who have a vested interest in WSU being good. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool deal. I'm allowing myself to dream, what it would be like to start 2-0, head into the Apple Cup. UW didn't look great in the first game. I mean, they ended up winning 35-3 or whatever, but they scored 14 points in the first half. They didn't exactly light the world on fire against Weber State, which I don't think Weber State's expected to be much better than Portland State. So, I think all things are lining up for us to, have this really strong start.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun weekend. I've heard Texas Tech is sold out there a lot, man. It's gonna be like Wisconsin last year when you're having a that was so
Which
fun.
Is so
There's
fun.
Wisconsin fans, you're saying what's up to them. I literally I said welcome to Pullman to every Portland State fan I saw, and I think I said it to every single Portland State fan.
Yeah.
I think there was 10 there.
And this time we've got the whole Mike Leach thing too.
I know.
There's going to be sort of this common.
Yeah, they're gonna still be going well, you see, this is what it's like to have Mike Leach as a coach.
Okay, so for people who don't know what we're talking about,
that's for the OG Cougs Center readers.
That's for the OG Cougs Center folks. People who don't know what we're talking about, when Mike Leach got hired at WSU, we were at Cougs Center. We were inundated with Texas Tech folks in the comments telling
Mike
us
Leach
about,
fans.
Just wait. Mike Leach is just, they were like, I like Texas Tech, but I'm a huge Mike Leach fan. Just you wait. So they tell us all these things about Mike Leach, which
5
which
years
we could
into
totally,
it, they're like,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could totally read it in, Swing Your Sword and all that stuff. Okay, great.
Yeah, it was literally
and then
stuff you could read in Sing Your Sword, which we all read.
And then
before.
a year goes by, 2 years go by, 4 years go by. We still got Tech fans in there being like, "Oh, Mike Leach, let me tell you about Mike Leach." We're like, "What the fuck? He's been our coach for 4 or 5 years.
We were in
what are you
the
talking
good
about?"
parts, deep into the good run, and they're like, "This is how it goes." I'm like, it literally was.
I'm telling you,
this is
folks.
What are you talking about?
Up until the very end, like when he left to Mississippi State, we still had Texas Tech fans showing up in the comments at Cougs Center saying, "Oh, that crazy Mike Leach. Have you guys heard the one about the fat little girlfriends?" I'm like, what the hell? Yes, my God. What do you think we've been doing for 7 years? So anyway.
So I gotta
be prepared for that on Saturday.
It's cool, because we're inducting Mike Leach into the Wazoo Hall of Fame, and so that's cool, and I'm sure they will.
Yep.
It'll be kumbaya happy. But so one thing they're also doing is this stripe the stadium thing.
Yeah.
Which is also curious because they just were like, the students are all crimson, and then the rest of the stadium's striped. And they did crimson and white.
And crimson. Yes.
And then today we got the uniform reveal. And it is crimson, anthracite crimson.
That is okay. Help me understand, because I'm like, to me, that is inexplicable. Can you come up with a good reason why they would do that?
It's that the marketing team, it has,
and the uniform folks not on the
same page.
Okay.
Because obviously we know the white, crimson, white is cursed, and
yes,
it's like a guaranteed catastrophic injury if that happens.
But we have worn it since the last catastrophic injury, and it turned out okay.
Have we?
We did. We wore, I don't even remember, but we did wear it for a game, and we won the game, and
it also
nobody
looks
died.
So good. It looks so good.
Yes.
I love that uni combo.
It's a fantastic look.
And I would have loved if they wore it. I would have been fine with it.
Yeah. But 2 days ago, I was like, obviously it'll be white, crimson, white, obviously.
But they also could have done, white, crimson, crimson, or crimson, white, white. I mean,
yes.
Unless Texas Tech would have pulled an Eastern Kentucky versus Western Kentucky, and Western Kentucky is doing a whiteout, Eastern Kentucky opted as the visiting team to wear their white uniforms, and so they're not allowing.
That's where white, crimson, white
yeah,
made the most sense to me, because Texas Tech's going to have a black helmet and a white shirt and black pants. Like, that's what they're going to wear. And so I'm like, I don't know, man. Whatever.
Yeah, it's so, yeah, we're not going to be crimson white. So I I tweeted, I said, look, I wore black all last year. That was the exception. Like I wore black when I went to games last year. I wore black, all black.
Yes, we were in mourning.
But this year I'm back to matching the uniform. And so I want to match the uniform. And so I'm going to wear a crimson hat and an anthracite shirt. And I've had, mostly no one's given a shit, but I've had a few people that are like, I got one guy that said like the school is trying to get the fan base involved as a whole, but you were saying screw that, I'm sticking to what I do. Except for those times you didn't because I said I wore black. Sure, makes total sense. I'm sorry, how does wearing a shirt get you involved more than when you're already at the game? How are you more involved? You already went to the game. Like I don't understand. Like how are you more involved by wearing a shirt? Like
Yeah.
you already own WSU gear. You already went to the game. I think you're involved. Like this is not getting the whole fan base involved. It's getting the people that are at the game to wear a certain shirt. It doesn't.
Right.
This and I've had people say, I've seen people say, and I had people got my DM like in my messages and then deleted it. They're like, if you want to be a Power 5, like this is blah blah blah. And it's like, no, this is like try hard to make us look like we're a big deal.
Right.
Like,
And
also,
look, I
like,
mean, it's cool, but
it's
also
cool,
like,
but it's like it
I don't know,
means
man.
nothing. It means nothing.
yes, that's
They're
exactly.
doing it for an overhead shot of the stadium that they can use later.
Right.
But it means nothing in the grand scheme of are we a Power 5? Blah, blah, blah. And also, so here's the thing. I am in a loge box. You're not going to see what I'm fucking
You're not
wearing.
going to see you.
Like, it doesn't matter what I wear. I could wear pink and blue. It doesn't matter. No one's going to see it. When they do that overhead shot, no one in the club seats. It's all going to be blacked out because of the overhang, the shadow from the lights. It's only going to be the lower bowl that you even see. Yeah, whatever. It's so I just had to rant about that. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool. Do it. It'll probably work. Cougs are, good about that. I feel like they've advertised enough. Maybe they should have advertised more to sell tickets because we haven't
Yeah.
sold those out yet.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still tickets available if you want to go.
Hey, folks, if you want to go, doesn't matter what fucking shirt you wear, just come.
Yes.
Like, just
Yes,
come.
just come.
Yeah,
just come.
just fill up the seats. Okay,
Yeah.
so football. Okay, so let's get to score prediction.
Yes.
Jeff, you go first. We'll rotate this year again. I think it's what we did last year, but you're going to go first this game. We didn't.
Okay.
Oh, no, wait. Wait, no. You went. Did you go first last game or did I?
I don't remember.
I went first, so you're going first this time.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say it's a high scoring game. I don't know what the number's at for the over under. It's probably not high enough. I'm going to say
56 or something.
that's it. That's
off the top of my
definitely not
head,
high
yeah.
enough. That is definitely not high enough. I'm going to say Cougs cover easily 42-35. Go Cougs.
Love it. Yeah, I'm going to go Cougs covering as well. I'm going to go 38-28 Cougs.
Had a kid. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, so
All right.
football. Let's wrap this up. Let's talk about some of their sports. Soccer played
Okay.
a big game this weekend. Stanford at Stanford.
But you'll never guess what happened, Craig.
What happened, Jeff?
Well, you see, WSU went and played a really good team, and they had about 1 billion shots, and none of them went in.
Weird. That's never happened
Weird.
before.
Weird. I am getting to a point. I know that, like,
I mean, it is number 2 Stanford, so that's
yes.
that they played that well is cool, but
Yeah.
just you gotta
Yes.
score at some point.
Now, it did take Nadia Cooper saving a penalty, which, by the way, back to ban replay came after a literal 5-minute replay review, which I will say, like, a lot of times when we're watching replays and we're like, oh my God, this is taking forever. It's like 2 minutes usually, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, why is it taking so long? 5 minutes is like an eternity. That's apparently how long it took to make a very questionable call, according to those who were watching. I was not, but so, it could have been, I think, pretty easily 3-0. losing 2-0 at Stanford. There's truly no shame in that. I will say I'm curious how this season goes because the program is trending in the wrong direction.
Yep.
Just in general. And I do wonder some of that. I do wonder if some of that is some stylistic issues.
Yeah.
WSU has always been successful being kind of a brute force kind of team.
Yep.
They really outwork people. They, even, Morgan Weaver, who was, like our number one, like of the Todd Schulenberger era, the top player, if you don't count Trinity Rodman, right, who never played for
Yeah.
us.
So,
But,
yeah.
but Morgan, again, I think similar kind of deal, very, skilled, obviously. I'm not going to say she's not skilled, obviously skilled, but her perhaps greatest asset was her tenacity and her willingness to chase down lost causes and pressure the ball and things like that. The kinds of things that aren't necessarily skill driven, and the team has sort of relied on that, which does make sense for a school like Washington State, right? Like you're not going to get, Stanford's getting the most skilled players.
Yeah.
You're not at Washington State. So it makes some sense to have a strategy, have a style of play where it's a little more direct. Like I said, a little more kind of brute force, you're humping it up to the middle of the field. You're knocking it down. You're trying to get second balls. You're trying to play balls in behind, things like that. I do wonder if the collegiate game is maybe shifting a little to where that is becoming a little bit of an antiquated strategy as more and more players with more and more skill are making their way into American soccer. Like, and I know that, women's soccer has always had tons and tons of skill relative to the men, just because the opportunities have always been women's college soccer up until very recently, right? So I'm very curious. I'm very curious because like the style of play is not super visually appealing. And so, they really ought to be able to do some damage against this schedule. So far they've played, they opened up against Purdue. That was a close game. They lost, 1-0, beat the crap out of Montana at home, beat Idaho 2-1 at home, which was a little iffy. And then of course you go to Stanford. After that, there's not a lot, if they're wanting to get back to the tournament, not a lot of opportunities to make statements. They play UC Irvine and UC San Diego at home the next two games.
Yeah, I think you have to win
Yeah, you got to win those. And then they go on the road for kind of their last real chance to make any kind of statement. They play Georgia Southern, which is not obviously a resume maker, but they play Georgia, which I don't know how good Georgia actually is, but that's a Power 4 team. So those are the kinds of teams you got to beat if you want some attention. And then after that, it's really WCC. And at that point, if you lack a quality win and you want to make it back to the tournament, you kind of have to you're going to have to run off a whole ton of wins.
Yeah, most of your games you're going to have to win. Yeah.
So, So I don't know. Very interesting. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but
I think they're going to have to.
I'm very curious.
I mean, when they miss that opportunity against Purdue, miss that opportunity against Stanford, you're going to have to win most of your games. Like, when I say most,
probably almost
80% of your games to and not win, not like draw, like win, like and then probably draw in the other ones. Like honestly, so it's gonna be tough. We saw them really bottom out last year because they couldn't score. And it's concerning that they have, through 4 games, they have 5 goals. That's a little concerning. That might be continuing that issue. Now we'll move on to a team that is totally kind of hard to read at this point because they had so much change from coaching to almost every single player. Volleyball, they opened up their season this last weekend in Omaha, playing Wyoming, the University of Houston, who apparently was receiving votes because we put that on the schedule now when they're with an RV, and then the University of Nebraska, Omaha. They lost in 5 to Wyoming, lost in 4 to Houston, 1-5 at Omaha. So they beat the team on the road. Playing at Baxter Arena, by the way, nice tribute to my little
Yes.
dude, R.I.P.
Yes. Love that.
But yeah, obviously that was planned. They knew that. They changed the name
Yes.
for the weekend.
100%.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But anyways, so yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's hard to tell. Like I feel like Wyoming and Houston would have teams they last year they definitely would have beat. Like, but yeah, it's like I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this team. They play Eastern.
Well, I mean, it's basically a brand
twice
new
this
team,
weekend.
right?
Yeah, it's basically it's like yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get a better, they play Eastern twice in Pullman and then in Cheney. Seemed like they were trying to fill out the schedule.
Yep.
And then they have UW at UW, and then UC Davis at UW as well. It's like an invitational.
Yep. And that UW game, that's going to be the big one, right? Like
But again,
that's going to be the measuring stick. Okay, where are we actually at?
And then after that, there's not a lot to make a statement on the schedule. So
Yeah, lots of WCC.
yeah. So I mean, this is going to be something we're going to be saying over and over again. Besides, with the exception of maybe men's basketball, like it's gonna be like, oh yeah, they're playing WCC now.
Yep.
And it doesn't look like volleyball really front loaded their schedule like some of the other sports will
Yep.
and have, probably because they're like, we don't know what we have.
It's really just Washington.
Yeah. Well, and receiving
After
votes,
that,
Houston. Receiving votes, Houston.
I'm sorry for the for forgetting you. Receiving votes, Houston.
I mean, UC Davis could be amazing. I don't know. Northridge, Long Beach State. I don't know. They could be amazing as well. I don't know. I'm not a volleyball expert, but these are not like we played last year. We were going at Texas. We're going, like, at like legit like top 5 programs, and this year we're not doing that, and that makes perfect sense. But also it means like you literally got to almost run the table to make the tournament, which I don't think anyone like is expecting this team to make the tournament with all the the turnover they had. But yeah, this is like just us talking about the schedules of these last 2 teams have really brought the reality of, and when we talked about the football schedule last week, brought the reality of our reality. Like there's like you play all your biggest games are at the start of the year, and then after that it's like
Yep.
Yep.
Womp womp.
All right, Jeff. Well,
Thanks for ending on a downer, Craig.
yeah. So if you like to be depressed, you can subscribe.
Listen to our podcast.
You can subscribe to
Subscribe.
our podcast. $5 a month or $50 a year. Access to our members only Slack, which is super fun, especially when you're
Yes,
sad.
I can guarantee that will not depress you.
Yeah,
That is a guarantee.
yeah. Unless you're in the M Slack sometimes. The M's
That is true.
group sometimes lately. Thank you,
Well.
Jen, again for all your positivity.
I mean,
and
you
then,
guys choose that. Let's just be honest.
I know. We have chosen to be Mariners fans. It's a curse that we chose. But I think they kicked ass tonight. Once in a while that happens.
They did.
And then, but yeah, you can subscribe at podcastversuseveryone.com. We have quite a few going. It's a really fun chat. We also do occasional premium content. If you want to subscribe just for free, you can get the podcast delivered. Jeff is writing his Monday After columns, which were one of the best things on Cougs Center back in the day, and now he's brought them over to Podcast versus Everyone. I'm very excited about that personally.
Thank you.
But yeah, so just podcastversuseveryone.com. That's where the thing's posted. Subscribe. You can send it to your inbox. You get the podcast to your inbox before it's on Apple or Spotify or whatever. But yeah, also if you want to rate us, we never ask that, but if you want to rate us on your podcast service, feel free. That helps other people find us. I've become aware that we are kind of hard to find for Coug podcasts.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that.
We're gonna work on that. But you could also
We're
help
gonna try
us
and
out.
optimize our search.
You could help us out by leaving a review that mentions that we cover
Definitely
Washington State Cougars, like those words, like it's a
Yes.
Washington State Cougars podcast that I really like. That would be helpful. If you can do that, that would help us out. 5 stars, of course. We would appreciate that. If you listen to this hour and a half, I'm sure you're definitely want to give us 5 stars. But yeah, if you want to follow us along on our various rants, at the Craig Powers on Twitter, at Pod versus Everyone on Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. Also, I'll post stuff on my Instagram about the Cougs at Craig W. Powers. Jeff is at News Coug. I don't know how much he posts about the Cougs, but you can see about his kids and
Yes.
teaching. I don't know.
That is accurate.
But yeah, if you want to do all that. But yeah, with all that said, I will say, you know what? 70 points, finally, for the first time since Jeff was a student. And we were just waiting for it to happen for years under Mike Leach, and we got 1 point away multiple times. But finally we did it, 70 points, dropped 70. We've had that drop 70. That drop 70.
That hashtag's been hanging out.
Yeah, it's hanging out for a long time. And we even have the little emoji in the Cougs Center Slack. And finally, it's legit. There's Cougs hit 70. So that was reason to be happy here at the end. And with that, I say go fucking Cougs, Jeff.
Go fucking Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated and
Support a union.
do that.
Hopefully you enjoyed your Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Union.
Why do we have that, huh? Why do we have Labor Day?
Because of union.